What did I learn today? I think that for today, what I have learned from my coaching sessions is that creativity can show up in different ways. And often, we don't see the creativity in some form of work, like creating plans, creating structure, making contract, making offers, talking about money. And I feel like the society has been programming our mental functions into thinking that creative people do it this way, non-creative people do it that way. I think that I agree to a certain degree that yeah, you might have a creative side stronger than the procedural side or vice versa, but there is no real value to believe that you are one thing or another. Even though like one might struggle with a form of creativity, like let's say for example, I always liked drawing, but I never understood how, for example, my cousins were really good at drawing Dragon Ball characters, so I was always afraid of making that first stroke. Actually, I tried many times, but my drawings never looked as good as my cousins. And also in art class, I remember that I got a really bad grade, and I can still feel the impact of that bad grade because it was a robot. So I had to draw something, and I was scared to draw something and make mistakes. So instead of using free shapes like circles and curvatures, I guess. So what I used, it was like square, so it was a robot, and that robot is still like vivid in my memory. I wish I could have taken a picture, but it's not needed since it's in my memory, and I remember the red mark or the red grade. And since that moment, I thought I was never gonna be creative, and that this is not for me. But during our lifetime, we meet with a lot of painting, beauty, and all of that, and I just feel that my subconscious keep looking for patterns everywhere. Maybe it was slow to develop due to this trauma that I had in my childhood. Maybe it's taking like a slow development process for my creativity to show up, but eventually it's there. It's there. I can feel it when I'm doing work. Now I can feel it when I am podcasting right now, or writing for myself, or in my blog. And it's not obvious, like there was no clear time where I felt like I crossed the bridge for creativity, although I know that I have been exploring many different topics including design, and the fact that I was using just simple circles and rectangles while drawing notes, I felt that I was more prone to understand and learn with shapes than simply text. And I did some research and I found that this is rooted in the cognitive psychology, and it's fascinating because for 10 years I haven't been really looking into like something called design, but by knowing more about psychology, doing a lot of mindfulness meditation, being able to observe how my brain function and what scares him away, where does the resistance happen, it's kind of allowing me to see what would work for me, since my visual system is quite active. So it takes me, since my visual system is really strong, I rely heavily on my visual system for capturing information as well as reprogramming some old patterns in my brain. So when I map out those processes in terms of squares, cards, I feel like my brain appreciates that. And I never had this thought of becoming creative. It just happened over time after many trials And I believe the most important one was just what I have learned from my designer and mentor, which is to use a blank page and take a pen. It's as simple as this, but believe me, for some time I tried to not use anymore a pen and a paper because I was using some memory techniques and it worked really well. I was able to memorize the 2000 kanji using just softwares like Anki for memorizing the vocabulary, and almost never used paper. I just like was using it for like the first time, the first touch with the information. But it never occurred to me that I should be writing about my experiences or just using a pen and a paper. At some point in my life, I decided that it was a old technology and that is not required anymore. But in reality, what I have found is that it helps me stay concentrated more if I use a pen and a paper. And also, I wrote many diaries in my laptop, but honestly speaking, the most powerful writing happened on a pen and a paper. And I tried the electronic digital note taking devices, but one blank page is really amazing and it's never as good as anything else. So first thing is using a pen and a blank paper. This for me is a transformation. And when I look at elder people, they kind of use more of the pen and paper, and maybe they are not that good with technology. But you find out some of them have a better memory. And this observation also told me that maybe I should kick off this approach when using a pen and a paper and just let my creativity get out, especially that now I have some friends artists so I can ask questions. And most importantly, what I have learned about today is creative thinkers are not really afraid of making failures because they usually don't start a painting that they already know how they're gonna make. So which means when a creative looks at the painting, he knows, he have the full confidence that the painting is going to happen, but he doesn't conclude or know exactly how it's gonna look like. And I believe this is very important in life, in product management, in doing software, and a lot of spaces that doesn't seem creative. If you take risk, and if there is something to learn, there is something to think about, plan A, plan B, then that's your creativity. So thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in the next one.